Good Packer Nation Monday morning, everybody. Guys and dolls, the Packers are 1-0 right now, and we're going to talk all about that game, about the game today. As you jump on, it's time for Packer Nation Roll Call. Who is out there? Who is with me? Where are you coming at me from? We'll do some shout-outs. And then we will jump right into how I'm going to handle predictions for this year because, frankly, there are too many, and I can't handle them all. So we have a solution, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, I think, actually. All right, who's out there? Hector is here. Good morning, Pack family. Big shout out to our defense. Yeah, they got it done when they needed to, with a lot of work to do, though. I think Nathan is here from Viroqua. I'm from Black River Falls. Nathan, used to play you guys in track and basketball and everything. MJ is here. Russell, Wayne, John, Adam, Charlene, and King Dre from Wisconsin. Charlene says, hey there, Brady. How you doing? Good to see you. All right, Jeff is... Well, I don't actually see you. I guess that's figurative at that point. Daniel is here. Good to see you, man, from Illinois. Ricky says good morning to Packer Nation. Miguel is here. Danielle, Carol, Brent, and there's Jared Dixon with his usual good day, mate. And very happy to see you, Jared, and I hope you are having a good day over there. Always a little bit of ahead of us, but I guess you Australians are a little bit ahead of us Americans anyway. Is that how it goes, maybe? Daniel is here from Kansas. Wynn Davis back from Tennessee. Good to see you again. Sean is back. All right. Ryan is here. I want to give one last and most important shout out right now. I just want to take a minute and say hi to Zachary if you're out there. Zachary is from Oklahoma. He messaged me directly at Facebook and thanked me for doing the show. It was a very thoughtful message, just how he misses the Packers, and it kind of makes him feel like home. So, Zachary, I hope you have a great day today. Wanted to give you a shout out this morning. I truly appreciate it, and I am actually humbled by all the responses. That's not the only one. I really appreciate all of you guys out there. All right, folks. We did predictions before the game. We are going to be doing Prediction Friday every week. But I asked for predictions on 2 different posts, and what I realized is there's no way I'm going to be able to manage your predictions, okay? So here's how we're going to do it. Jeff is here. Hey, how you doing, man? Here's how we're going to do it. If you get the prediction right, we're going to give you a chance every Monday or, day after the game if it's not a Monday. You're going to get a chance to brag about it, and we're going to have a sacred space in the comment line for those who got the prediction within a total spread of 3 points. So I'm going to try to trim it right down because there's no way for me to just filter through them and give shout outs to everybody. You are going to be able to brag for yourself. You can just brag your Packer loving butt off on our show the day after a game. And so let's start today because I'm going to talk about my prediction each week because frankly, I have to step up and take my lumps whether I get it right or wrong. Okay, so while I talk about my prediction, which I'm going to do right now, let's try this. If you got your prediction within a total spread of 3 points, right now is your chance. I'm going to try to give everybody a shout out who got it pretty much close or right on the noggin. And Rick says hi. Charlene says great idea. Thank you. I think it's going to be awesome. Okay. All right. So comments wise, now is the time for only, and I mean only, the people who nailed the prediction to jump on and comment. I'm going to talk about mine because I'll tell you what, I'll start out with what I did not expect. I expected the Jacksonville Jaguars to play well, and I got to say hats off to them. They actually played what I thought was a fantastic game. I expected our defense to be better than they were, and our defense gave up 10 more points than I expected. Jacksonville ending up with 23. I'll review the game later, but that was what was unexpected to me. I thought the defense would be more stout than they were. I had 28-13 Packers. Of course, the final score being 27-23, was not correct on my 10-point spread, but I really felt like the Packers defense to some extent let me down. Did anybody get 3 points or less away? Whoever nailed it on the noggin, it's your chance to jump on the comment line now and brag. But my guess on the offensive side of the ball, I had the Packers not quite scoring 30 points in this because I did expect the Jacksonville Jaguars defense to be quite good. And even though they were quite good, I expected that we had too many weapons and we would probably get close to 30. But in this game, especially first game of the season, I didn't expect that we would have gotten 30 points. And basically, I was 1 point off. So offensive-wise, I was pretty good. Defensive-wise, not so much. And so, which brings me to our defense. So let's talk some game review, guys. 28-21, said Ned. That's still 8 away. 27-17, there we go. Johnny was right there. Johnny gets a shout out. Closest one so far that I can see, but this is if you did anybody get 3 points or less away. I got to figure somebody out there nailed it on the noggin. Kevin, I'm going to talk about that. Let's talk about the defense. The defense, all right, get ready for a rant, all right? The defense is going to have to learn how to tackle if we are going to beat the Minnesota Vikings. Write it down. Mark my words. I watched, just as a sample, I watched an entire series through and counted four tackles that were missed by the first contact. 4 times in one series, first contact did not make the tackle. Then an incomplete pass, so no tackle involved. Then finally, 1 tackle by the first person to the ball and a field goal by the Jacksonville Jaguars. If the Packers want to beat the Vikings, we are going to have to learn to tackle in 1 week. It was atrocious. It was atrocious. We've got to get better. There's no doubt about it. We have shown that we can improve in this area, but we've got to get better at tackling. We've got Adrian Peterson on the books for next week. This week. It's not going to be pretty if this team doesn't learn how to tackle. That I was outraged. And I know we've had our struggles in the past. This was awful. I'm going to go back and count. And we remember last year, Mike McCarthy was talking about the missed tackle count. It was either McCarthy or Dom Capers, and McCarthy is usually one doing the pressers. And Jeffrey says understatement of the year. I can't overstate it more. We lose to the Vikings if we don't learn how to tackle in 1 week, period. I'm going to be counting next week, and it better go down. It better go down by about 75%. You watch, and they mentioned the 1 tackle in the fourth quarter. Did you notice the tackle that ended this game? First contact slipped off. We've got our heads on the wrong sides of tackles. We have no push, and we can't wrap and drag anybody down. It's absolutely atrocious, and it's got to stop. Okay, so with that said, we got to talk about some positives on the defensive side of the ball. Oh, and I was going to mention, too, I saw a bunch of question marks behind the question, where was Julius Peppers? We know we're not going to see him for as many snaps, but when he was in there, he was virtually non-existent. That was interesting to me. I got this sinking feeling during this game, and it's still early, and Julius Peppers I love in the playoffs because he knows how to turn it on when it matters. Julius Peppers, I got this sinking feeling that the Packers are getting ready to let him go. Did anybody else have that weird, I just had it come upon me with Nick Perry in there playing most of the snaps. And then Julius Peppers, when he got in, was largely ineffective. I know it's a long season, and I know he's going to show up. I'm not dissing Julius Peppers. But did anybody get the sinking feeling that we're getting ready to let Julius Peppers go? It was interesting to me. That's the feeling that came over me, but we'll see. And Daniel says, I was happier with Nick Perry. Maybe you're the one that asked the question, too. And we know we're going to see a lot of Nick Perry, and I think that's where the Packers are moving right now. I've got the feeling that that's where they're going. Donald is talking about the secondary being beat. Oh, my gosh. I wrote, if you didn't see on GreenBayPackerNation.com this morning, I wrote just a quick quick slant, and I said, I described, if there was one word could use to describe our entire defensive performance, it was gashed. To the tune of 300 yards, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do some stats review in a minute. Guys, this is going to be a long show. I don't know if it's post-game, so feel free to jump off, but I just have to change the entire tack because there's no way I can keep it inside time anymore. Feel free to jump off if you have to, but we are going to talk about everything today. And hopefully, Zachary in Oklahoma, you got a day off or at least. But yeah, I use the term gashed. Yeah, Clay Matthews with a nice sack. Nick Perry with a sack. It was good to see Morgan Burnett get a timely sack. But this team was gashed to the tune of 300 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, to their credit, Jacksonville is known to be a big play, explosive play offense, and they proved it. They were out there. I'll tell you who I liked. I thought, thumbs up me if you think that Jake Ryan had a nice game in this game. Not anything absolutely jumps out at you, but I thought he was active. I thought he had a nice tackle or two. Martinez had a pretty good game. He did get beat by Yeldon out of the backfield, but again, you know, the kid's first regular season game. But I did think the defense, and of course you've got, here's my main shout out for this defense, okay? This is a tough environment. You got to travel to Florida. We're not very good in Florida, generally speaking. You got to play, it was 100 degrees plus on the field, folks. And if any of you who have, you know, raise your hand, I say, give me a thumbs up if you've had to practice with full pads, like 2-a-days in 100 degree plus heat. Wisconsin gets this way. We had to do that. It is unbelievable what that heat takes out of you. This is the first game of the season. This defense had to go on the field for the entire game. Not only that, but the way the game played out, Jacksonville was playing 4-down football. That's less than 3 yards a play that they had to gain. The pressure that this defense was under was absolutely, for most people and most teams out there, would have been unbearable. They would have broken under that pressure. Huge kudos and a great big heart to our defense for getting it done when it mattered. It was a struggle. It was difficult. The Jaguars were 3 for 4, 75% on fourth down conversions, but most of those fourth down conversions came after a big play that the defense did on third down. It bodes well for us next week if we can play the way we did on third down. The situation in this case forced the Jacksonville Jaguars to play 4-down football. This is not the way it usually goes. And it was an incredible amount of pressure on our defense. And when it mattered, they made the play. It reminded me of the Phillip Rivers play where it was down to one play. And I think it was it Rollins or Randall? I can't remember which one knocks the ball away to end the game. And the Packers get a win, all right? So we should take a moment right now because I started out with a little bit of a rant. I don't want to, this isn't going to be a negative video blog. Guys, let's heart our 1-0 Green Bay Packers. Let's just take a moment. Packer football is back and winning is back in Green Bay. Packers with a big win over the Jaguars and on top of the NFC North. I know it's 1-0, but NFC North looking interesting. Let's take a minute to talk about around the NFC North, both the Lions and the Vikings winning their games. The Chicago Bears went down to the Texans, but the Vikings beating who did the Vikings play? I'm losing track right now, but the Vikings win. Vikings beating the Tennessee Titans, obviously. Yeah, it was Randall. The Vikings beat the Tennessee Titans. It was not a pretty game, but I'll tell you what was interesting around the NFC North to me is the Detroit Lions. They almost gave the game away, but for a good portion of that game, their offense was clicking on all cylinders. Stafford playing much better than expected. This is a Megatron-less Detroit Lions team. A lot of us, us pundits, a lot of you fans expected the Detroit Lions to sort of be the bottom dwellers down there, maybe competing with the Chicago Bears as the bottom dwellers in the NFC North. That did not look like the case for much of the Detroit Lions game. Matthew Stafford looked in sync. Those two running backs are a good 1-2 punch. It is going to be interesting to see, and Green Bay is going to not. And of course, we never do overlook NFC North rivals, but they are going to have to keep their wits about them. to beat the Detroit Lions. They did some good things. So yeah, Packers 1-0, Vikings 1-0, Detroit 1-0, and the Bears 0-1 as we go into a big showdown against the Vikings where we can kind of take an early lead in the first quarter of this season. And that Vikings home game, if we can take the Vikings at home, opening up US Bank Stadium, there's going to be a lot of excitement. If we can take that early, then we've got them in that fourth quarter in December as we play all of those NFC North rivals to close out the season. We will have them at Lambeau, and so it's an important game coming up this week. All right, back to, okay, so we talked about the defense, and, it was kind of a hit or miss thing. We did get gashed, but the defense stood up when it mattered. We relied on them to do that a lot last season. But how about the offense? This game offensively, to me, was a game with an introduction and a big middle and a conclusion. And we bookended this game with some terrible stuff out there, some embarrassing stuff. Okay, so when the Packers started this game, give me a thumbs up if the first quarter of this game on offense reminded you more of last year's offense than the offense that we expected the Packers to roll out this year. The offense with Jordy Nelson back, with Randall Cobb healthy, with Eddie Lacy in shape, with Jared Cook added to the roster. The first quarter of this game, I was looking at what I thought I was like a nightmare. I thought that it was like this awful deja vu that here we are, and I think that I'm looking at the 2015 Packers offense. And even that said, even Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers were not able to connect on back shoulder throws. It was not, I did not have a good feeling when this offense rolled out in the first quarter. We couldn't get the running game going, which again, you got to look at the shakeup of the offensive line and wonder what's going on. And then Jordy Nelson makes a catch. And when Jordy Nelson got going, this game turned around, and that offense, it was like a switch flipped. And the offense turned it on, and we had almost 3 quarters. It started really before the amazing Devontae Adams catch to score going into the half. It started before that. We really started moving. We clicked. We got in sync. And then we saw this Packer offense that all of us expected and all of us know and love. And for the most part, we played a good game through to the end of the quarter. And then those last 2 series of this game, what was going on? Like we tried to, we had the offensive line and we had the offensive line think if there was a pass play while the rest of the team thought it was a run. We had Aaron Rodgers try to call back-to-back timeouts. It was a comedy of error those last 2 series. And in all reality, we should have very much been into that 30-plus score. And this game should not have come down to the wire the way it did. But the middle of this game gave me a lot of hope for this offense. I think that's the offense we're going to see at the end of the game. To see those errors that come on board, those have more to do with the shakeup of the offensive line, the fact that it's early in this, it's the first game of the season, and we will get that cleaned up. That doesn't worry me nearly as much, although it worried all of us for this game. It put the very game in jeopardy. It's not to be understated that we could have lost this game at that point. It was crazy, and I think somebody's making the comment to that. But this is something that now we have a week to get cleaned up. It's kind of like the tackling on the defensive side of the ball. We've got a week to get it cleaned up, but it needs to get cleaned up. Early on, though, I was very concerned when we couldn't get the running game going. Aaron Rodgers was looking out of sync when he couldn't make complete back shoulder passes to Jordy Nelson. Holy smokes, I was getting worried. All right, but it looks like our offense is going to gel. They've got to get some things together. Obviously, it's great that we had, and I'm going to talk about the refs. That's coming up in a little bit. I've got one. I don't like to just sit and piss and moan about refs, but I've got one thing I'm going to say about that. But it looks like the offense is going to come on. How about players? All right, let's emoji me, guys. Okay, post game only. Post-game thoughts. You have to emoji me post-game thoughts of Davante Adams, guys. Emoji me your post-game thoughts, like whole body of evidence for the game, thoughts on Davante Adams. Where are you guys at now? Because Davante Adams was the early game pariah, I wrote in this. When he went up and got clear for a big gain and then drops the ball, he was the early game. I have been one of those games. Don't give up on Davante Adams. He's got too good of a skill set. This is getting crazy. I mean, like, what to say? I mean, everybody's like kind of in the middle. It's like he was that drop was awful. He did everything right except catch the ball, and I was so over Davante Adams. In fact, I think I may have texted an F-bomb to my cousin Jeff in Madison. I was so over Davante Adams. And then before the half, he pulls out this fantastic catch for a touchdown. And we needed a touchdown at that point. I mean, we needed it. A great pass by Aaron Rodgers. Jalen Ramsey is draped all over him, just about ready to body slam him. And he flicks the ball up there, and Adams comes down with it. Unbelievable. And then guess who the leading receiver was in this game? It wasn't Jordy Nelson. Let's do the numbers here. Because Randall Cobb had a nice game, 6 catches for 57 yards. Jordy Nelson, 6 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown. Awesome. Cobb also with a touchdown, I believe. Davante Adams, 3 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Leading receiver. Wow. If Adams, Mike is just laying out on the line. I still hate Adams, though. Guys... Avery is saying we need him. Okay, this is my thing. It's like, which Adams, if you could get just one Adams, just one guy out there, then you could make a decision. If you could get the Adams of the first quarter, then we could just jettison him and move on. If you could get the Adams only of the rest of this game, he is a number 3, period. There's no question. 3 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown, and the touchdown catch was unbelievable and right when we need it, timely. Holy smokes, which Davante Adams is going to play from week to week? That's my only question. So Davante Adams, my goodness, guys, how about Eddie Lacy? I got any love for Eddie Lacy. Took him a little bit to get going in this game, but after Jordy Nelson made his presence known, and Eddie Lacy with 14 carries. Well, we had 14 overall. Eddie Lacy had, 14 carries for 61 yards. Not a huge number, but again, Eddie Lacy took us to the point, brought us right up to like the 3-yard line. Then we had the miscue at the end of the game. Should have been a touchdown. If it was blocked up as a run, that's a touchdown by James Starks. And Eddie Lacy was the workhorse that got us down there. Loving Eddie Lacy right now. It's good things in store for him. The guy can catch out of the backfield like nobody's business. We got Eddie Lacy is still a little large. I think Eddie Lacy is in perfect condition to be the steamroller that we need without losing. He didn't lose his punch, but he is niftier than he's been. He's faster. He's breaking away from players now. Watch out for Eddie Lacy. I've said he's going to have a career season. Again, because we are so balanced on offense, it may not be, for him, the numbers may not be spectacular. They may not be dazzling numbers, but the same thing will be true for Aaron Rodgers. The numbers may not be dazzling because Eddie Lacy is going to have a good year. Listen, folks, our run to pass percentage, I just kind of glanced at it quickly. We had 34 pass attempts, and I think we had 34 or 5 rushing attempts, including Aaron Rodgers, everybody who rushed the ball. That 50-50 mix it makes it really hard for defenses. And the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, hats off to you guys. They were an excellent tackling, disciplined defense, and we picked them apart for a while there. We picked them apart. I mean, they had guys, who was it, Fowler, that ran Lacy down from behind. I mean, they are a strong defense. I said this morning, I would not be surprised if the Jacksonville Jaguars do not run the table the rest of the year at home. In their home games, I wouldn't be surprised if they are unbeaten at home. If they play that way, down in their stadium, in their house, that's a good team that we beat. And I've got Gus Bradley and the crew. I've said all along they're doing things the right way. My thought, I told Robert, my friend who's staying here. He just came from the Jacksonville training room. He's up here doing his PhD in Tennessee. I told him I felt fortunate that we were playing Jacksonville early in the season, and that's where I thought the opportunity was. Because I had the feeling that the Jacksonville defense had yet to gel. And they gelled. They gelled. They had a great schematic defensive game in place. They mixed it up. Aaron, they were into quarters coverage, the unscouted looks that you kind of expect these early games in the season. But they did a fantastic job. But for a while there, we were picking them apart. I've called Aaron Rodgers the executioner in the past, and he looked like it for a time. So who's Avery? Exactly, man. He says it's a good road win. Is this not a good road win? Can I get a thumbs up for a good road win by my friend Avery? Well said. Thumbs up to the Packers, because this was not an easy game. We knew it was going to be difficult. I thought we're going to be able to capitalize more because I expected our defense to be actually a little better. But as I expected, our offense just a shade under 30 points, but this is an offense that can explode onto the scene and really should have had more points in this game. Okay, offensive review, I can't pass up in the offensive review of this game. We're talking about sort of player by player. There's a few that we can mention. Jared Cook with a very, very important, nice catch in there. A 6-yard gain for a first down. Jared Abbrederis with a nice, I think, 7-yard gain. How about this? And Daniel is saying, Jag defense is no joke. Absolutely right. They're a good defense. They're going to hurt some people out there. And they've got a great attitude, man. That's a fantastic defense we played, and we were able to win. I'm happy about that. But before we leave talking about the offensive players, how about Jordy Nelson for player of the game? Is there any? I mean, Aaron Rodgers could get it because of that pass that really sparked our offense and put 7 points on the game to go into the half. Of course, we could call upon the final play of the game, the defense sealing the game with a tackle when we absolutely had to have it and the Jags were driving for a win. But how about a game ball or player of the game for Mr. Jordy Nelson from Kansas? If there are any Kansas folks out there, your boy, you should be proud of your boy. I know you already are. So you guys are representing. Gotta love those country farm boys, and Jordy Nelson got it done. It took a little bit for them to get in sync, but once they did, Jordy Nelson is back, and it's great to see. All right. Well, before we talk about special teams, I want to take a moment and make a little bit of a comment on the refs in this game, all right? Now, I'm not going to piss and moan about one call or the other. I'm sure that in the comments, those will come rolling past. The refs are what they are. Usually if they suck, if you're looking at it from an objective perspective, usually if they suck for both teams. In this case, and of course, so every Packer fan is going to, we're going to think they sucked for the Packers, which to some extent I agree with. But here's what I don't like. How about Mike McCarthy having to throw a challenge flag on the field because the refs can't count to 12? And how about Clinton Dix having to freak out and go crazy not once but twice when because the refs can't see double zeros on a play clock? If that makes you angry, give me an angry face. You can angry face me for the whole, the refs calls, the pass interferences, all that if you want to. Totally fine. But how about an angry face for refs when we have to use a challenge flag because they can't count to 12? And we have to have our defensive players showing them double zeros on the play clock. I have a problem with this. It does not speak well to the reffing crew when the opposing team has to do their job for them. So give me an angry face if you agree with that. I think that is absolutely unconscionable. Now, the 12 men on the field, that happens from time to time because sometimes their back is turned to the guy who's still on the field. And that's why I'm glad we can throw the challenge flag and then now count the boys that are on the field. We've had to do this in the past. But when you add that to, did you see Clinton Dix just freaking out and pointing at the play clock because the refs can't see double zeros on the play clock on a delay of game? But my gosh, they sure did know the rule that Aaron Rodgers can't call 2 timeouts in a row, and they called us for the delay of game on that without any hesitation. You can't sit there and tell me that there aren't going to be accusations and suspicions of a reffing crew where the Packers have to come down to the home field and do the ref's job for them. Not liking that one bit. So go ahead and roll out the angry faces because they are deserved, and those guys better get some negatives for not paying enough attention. And if you can't pay enough attention to the things that are obvious, what does that do for the expectation of your angle and your view when it comes down to your judgment calls? Do you not think that not knowing how to do your job when it's black and white will not call into question your eyesight when there are judgment calls to be made? Folks, that reffing crew should not have to have our Green Bay Packers who are out there trying to get a big win in a tough environment away, a big away win. We should not have to be paying attention to the ref's job as well as our own. But kudos to McCarthy for throwing the challenge flag, and Aaron Rodgers, who probably was prompting it. You know, he may have had the call, who knows. And kudos to Clinton Dix for making it known, for doing the ref's job for you. I can't remember the name of the reffing crew. I saw it, and I think it just passed out of my mind. And I'm going to close with this. One word. Keep rolling the angry faces if you want. That's fine. One word to the crew leader of yesterday's reffing crew in Jacksonville. Clinton Dix will post his address so you can send your check to him this week. Send your check. His name is Clinton Dix. He goes by It's hyphenated. Okay? He lives at 426 Broadway, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I don't know what his address is. Send your check to Clinton Dix. Or if you want, maybe you can split it. You can send half of it to Mike McCarthy for letting you know that there are 12 men on the field. And then send the rest to Clinton Dix. All right? I'm getting a few laughs for that one. I did it serious, right? I did it serious because I'm ticked. I'm a little bit hot. That's okay. All right. Moving on to special teams, okay? And because I feel a little better about my talk about special teams, and I'm not going to be as negative because I got to get a lot of the negativity off my shoulders in blasting the refs just really quick, okay? So I feel better. But let me say this. Donald's asking where the pink shirt is on Pink Monday. We might have to do Pink Monday. I got the Mountain Dew shirt on. It's going to be mirrored, as you guys know. It's Nyat Mwam Wed. So, special teams needs a lot of improvement, guys. Am I wrong? Can I get a thumbs up? I mean, if we think of it in this light, it becomes a positive thing. Can I get a thumbs up if you agree that the Packers special teams needs improvement? We did a good job last year, and now they made some changes, some significant changes. John Cood, not least among them at this point. Secondly, we did this punter experiment that I said was a boneheaded move, obviously completely overshadowed by the sit-in move. But I said that was the first bonehead move of the offseason as far as I was concerned. And so our coverage teams were terrible in this game. Our field position was consistently bad for the offense. We were consistently backed up. So the punt return game, we couldn't. There were, if I'm remembering right, at least 2 punts that absolutely needed to be fielded. One of them, it looked like Hyde. You know, the sunlight. He just took the conservative way and took the safe route. And you can't predict the bounce. But boy, 2 of those we really needed to have fielded. Let me see. And I know we're talking 42.5 yards per punt. Jacob Schum, Jacob Schum, 42.5 yards for punt. Really going to tell me that's some kind of a huge improvement? We have our second time of this experiment of dumping a punter right before the season begins, and our special teams needs improvement. I think I'm gonna cool it on the special teams and say we need improvement. We've got to have better field position if we want to win against the Vikings. We've got to have, obviously you're going to get pinned back from time to time, but we were consistently starting inside our own 10-yard line. That's not acceptable, guys. Obviously we have the offense and we still were able to maintain some drives in there. But we have got to field position is one of the dark horses of winning a football game in the NFL is field position. It's not often talked about, but it's extremely important, especially when you talk about an offense that, if you give them a little bit of an advantage on field position, you can almost guarantee with Mason Crosby that you're going to get 3 points out of that series. A touchback goes to the 25, guys. How many yards does our offense even have to go to be in field goal position? We should score points on virtually every drive if we can at least get a touchback out of it. So we have, and you watch, and here's the other thing you watch one, if not both of these punters that we let go, Mastay, they're going to get picked up somewhere and they're going to have staying power somewhere. Mastay is statistically, regardless of what anybody thinks, he's the best punter the Packers have ever had, statistically, period. Net and gross. So this little experiment, it hurt us. And when you look at field position, and especially early in this game, when we had trouble scoring, that field position is huge, huge. And that one punt was awful. We were fortunate that there was a penalty on that punt. So interesting, very interesting. But yeah, we've got a punter that can average 42.5 yards per punt. Maybe got great hang time and whatnot, but the hang time wasn't good enough. Nobody had no fair catch. So, all right. So let's just for a moment, I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to talk about. Defensively, we talked about, I really think, Martinez was serviceable. The kid's got to develop. I think he had some good sticks. When I will quickly mention, when he did get beat by Yeldon out of the backfield, he still made the tackle. It was a really tough trailing tackle because he did get beat, but he made the tackle, so I was happy to see that. We've got some changes that we've got some improvement that needs to happen in our special teams play, and if we can learn how to tackle, for crying out loud. And our offense, continues what they did throughout from the second quarter on and omits the mistakes. This is going to be a team that can play with the Minnesota Vikings. If not, on the other hand, I think it's going to be a difficult game. So we know it's going to be a tough game anyway. Opening U.S. Bank Stadium, those guys are going to be excited. But we'll see what the Packers do in terms of tackling. We've got to... Yeah, Mike's saying think of all the money we set. Yeah, because punters are so high priced. We're already $10 million under this cap. There's no change going to take place this year. We're already under the cap for this year. So nothing. It's the same thing with Sitton. I love the argument that we cut Sitton to save money. Bull crap. We're already, the cap is, we're done. Let him run out his contract. We're already under there. What are you saying? You can save it next year. Let him go. You can save it next year. Let him go. That's fine if you find somebody better. But after you got the guy in training camp, same thing with Sitton. If you got the guy in training camp, you have no better solution. All you're doing is just dumping a guy, man. Whew. So anyway, that'll end my rant about that because it's a positive day. It's a great Monday. I got done. I went out and took a walk. I was actually going to try to do, I do an out of breath arm sore Packer minute from time to time where I just walk around. And I say it's time for the out of breath arm sore Packer minute, the show where I walk around my neighborhood talking about the Packers and you watch to see if I get offloaded into the afterlife by a cargo van. That's my show. But I took the walk and I couldn't get enough data. My data plan, I wasn't getting any coverage, so I couldn't really do the video live, so I didn't want to do that. But I tell you what, fall is here, folks. It was a beautiful day. It was one of those fall golden afternoons where there was just a touch of fall. It was drier. The air was drier. You could just feel fall coming. and Packer football is back, man. We are back. Next week is going to be a really tough test. It's going to be, we win the game next week, and there's going to be cause for a lot of excitement down the stretch. All right? It was a fun game. It was a great game. The Packers defense got it done when they needed. Freaking awesome. We're 1-0. Now we get to go to see Minnesota Vikings, another serious team. One good thing about a game that wasn't perfect is you got a lot of stuff on tape. We got a lot of young guys. They're going to get on tape. They're going to get in those training or in those tape cut-up rooms. Man, they're going to see themselves missing these tackles and be like, each one of these guys, you wouldn't be an NFL player if you don't have pride enough to say, man, I ain't missing no tackles next time around. I got Adrian Peterson coming up. I ain't missing no tackles on Adrian Peterson. All right? Packers season is the best season. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah, the Packers have won. They are 1-0. And I need to sort of close. I do want to talk about one thing because we've been talking about this new game that's coming out. If you haven't heard or you haven't signed up, all you have to do is go to greenbaypackernation.com. It says get the app before the game even comes out. And you click on that post, fill out a form, name, phone number, email, and I will personally invite you. It's by invite only. It's coming out in October. It's never been seen before. But my son and I were mocking it up. Like we had a whiteboard and we were because you're going to play live and you're going to play with the Packers. So we mocked it up and it was so freaking exciting. And I won the game. So what happened is I got a couple good calls in there. One was just, you'll call the coin toss. I said that we would win and defer, so I ended up winning that one. Jared is noticing I have no coffee, dude. So, I hope my energy level, I hope I don't come off like I haven't had my coffee. I have had some coffee, but I don't have any coffee with me. It sucks. I'm going to make some immediately after the show, I promise you. But we mocked up this game, and I was standing in front of the TV because I could not wait for the next play. After the commercial, I was like, man, I got to see because I can go one up. We knew it was coming down to the wire. Here's the situation, right? Lacy was running the ball well, and one of the questions that we had was, will Eddie Lacy have 85 yards or more? I said no. Jonas said yes. I said no because we had James Starks in there, and I just didn't figure. I thought 85 was a lot to ask, even though I've been saying we wanted Lacy to be a workhorse in this game, and he was workmanlike in this game for the most part. But in those final two series, if we could have pounded the ball, it looked like we were going to pound the ball with Eddie Lacy. He was going to be close. It was really interesting. And I finally ended up... I'm getting crap for bragging about beating my son. Well, I tell you what, he would totally brag on me if he beat me. It was actually really interesting to see. And the one thing in my mind was I can't wait for this game to come out because it will keep track of all this and they will ask better questions and I won't have to do anything with it. It's going to be so much more fun. And then I can smack talk my son or whoever else, you guys, it'll be, I guess, whoever signs up. Smack talk them in game, but then you guys get to come back at me as well because I got a hunch. I don't know if I'm really going to be that good. Donald likes Monster better than Mountain Dew. I don't really drink either of them anymore because I don't like sweet stuff very much. But anyway, the game, it was really fun. It really made me excited about the real thing coming out. You can at greenbaypackernation.com if you haven't already done so. It's by invitation only. My phone to yours, you'll get a text from me that invites you to the game. Then you just fill out a few, what kind of sports do you like so it kind of knows what kind of profile you're looking at because there will be tons more sports coming as well. We're excited about it. I'm even more excited. So jump on greenbaypackernation.com, fill out the form if you want, and we'll get you on board. I have one that I need to fill in. If you haven't got yours, email me or something. We'll try to get everybody. The response has been unbelievable. The Green Bay Packer Nation is going to be well represented. I am setting up challenges, guys, and I need you guys to get on packernation.com. Fill out the form and jump in and play with your friends, share with your friends. Let them know that it's coming out because I am setting up challenges. I've got the Cowboys on the line. I think I've got the Seahawks on the line that our league can challenge theirs, okay? I'm not exactly sure how everything works yet. Again, we're just seeing it right now. It's just coming out. Beta testing happening right as we speak. So it's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be pretty awesome. And I'll let you know. But yeah, definitely jump on greenbaypackernation.com and sign up. I'm not going to say any more about that. But I saw some comments coming about how many championships do the Vikings have? Well, the Vikings, I guess, have to count their championships in terms of NFC North championships. Closest thing they get, maybe, an NFC championship or two, but certainly not a Lombardi trophy. And not in my lifetime will this ever happen. We must stop. We must keep that from happening, and we will. So yeah, a little funny banter going on. Brad says we're 1-0. Is it not a good day when the Packers have 0 in the loss column? Got a big, tough game coming up. We know it. We'll be talking about it all week. But today I am going to be talking about, I'm going to be getting on. I am going to do some more analysis. You'll see me jump on along with the 12-up post. Maybe Jeff was out there earlier. Jeff, if you were going to do an R&R, Jeff does R&R for us. It's called our Rant and Rave post, and I love it. It's because I get to read it. I don't have to write it. It's awesome. Jeff's just a cool dude, laid back. He's just a Packer fan. He gets on and he says, here's what I like, here's what I hate. Guess what? I'm a fanatic. The stuff I like, I'm going to lay it on the table. The stuff I didn't like, I'm going to lay that on the table too. And he really resonates with a lot of people because we're all fanatic about our Green Bay Packers. Well, guys, I'm going to close it up for the day. I've gone long, but these Mondays in particular, there's just too much to talk about. Packers off to a 1-0 start. Already now time to get ready for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll close out the day talking about game review and letting you know what we think on players. What I'm going to try and read between the lines after watching the player interviews, and we will say, David says R&R is his favorite. Jeff, did you hear that? I don't know if you're still on, man. So send it to me if you want, bro. I hope you're going to do it this year, and because we love the R&R. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Have a great day. I got to go get some coffee. And cheers to everybody out there. I hope you have a fantastic morning, and it's made even better by the fact that the Packers are 1-0, and I will close with one simple statement, folks. Jump on greenbaypackernation.com, sign up for the game, and you can get the ring. Bye now.